Probably first of many. And this is what got me going, bro. The fact that Harald Hardraade is the first person to pick yellow. There have been people who picked the yellow color throughout Hidden Cups that were not the Viper. Also, the Viper has not picked yellow, but we all know that he loves it. He has won, Viper has won Hidden Cup 1 through 3. So is this perhaps a Viper confirmed? I'm excited.
And in the meantime, well, what's also interesting is right off the bat, we have our first Mezzo matchup.
True.
Mine's on one side, Aztecs on the other. Naturally, when you have the Mezzo civs picked, you're immediately looking at what the scout activity looks like. Is either player going to go forward for the lame? I know we had the Re debacle in the earlier series, but given that there are no Rees, the lame can be incredibly potent. But it looks like right off the bat, on the side of Sundjata, we had some deer pushing, while yellow making a bigger effort to get out and scout more of the map.
All right, yeah. Looking at the maps, everything seems pretty good except for maybe that main gold for Sundjata. Like that is the wall potential is nice between the wood lines, and you do tend to see a lot of walling with these civs. But these gold spots, man. I mean, it's not like the second and the third gold spots are great for Harald, but the main gold seems so much better for Harald. So I'd say if you're Sundjata, you see that, you figure that into your strategy. Unfortunately, with Aztecs, you start with a little bit more gold, and so I'd say there's actually more potential for them to be aggressive in the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, while both maps do look reasonably wallable, I would have to agree. I think I favor Harold's map just simply because the gold more protected in the back. While there is a hill in front of the berries, that wood line kind of creates a nice opportunity to wall right in front of the hill and give you a solid defense point for, what would be an early part of the base that somebody would want to pressure from the side of Sundjata.
All right, so Harald, one of the players who likes to weaken the boar with the town center.
Okay.
6 inside the TC, 2 shots. That's pretty standard. I'm just curious because based on my research, which might mean nothing at the end of the day, there's 4 players who really don't like to do that consistently. Let's see if Sundjata goes for it. We've got a Garrison here. Yep. 2 volleys. Okay, based on what I've seen, about 12 players do this. So it's like, it really doesn't narrow it down too much, Dash, but just something I always look for in a game 1.
Right, I think it's the opposite which helps narrow down, and I know that Master of Templar did not use the TC, and so perhaps one of those 4 players who is less likely to use the TC. But yes, with these 2, already looking at one of maybe those pack of 12 players, another deer push for the side of Sundjata, so big on the food eco early on.
Yeah, it's really hard to narrow down the players based on the civs here because picking Aztecs and Mayans just feels so natural on Arabia, and especially because they're not necessarily quite as strong on all the hybrid maps that are in this tournament. So, I mean, the color's fun to talk about. Some people are saying Viper confirmed. I think the big thing right now, and I'm pretty confident about this, I think we might be looking at Winchester in the yellow because it's not as if, I mean, it would have to be a real mind game and a half to draft Goths just to watch viewers freak out about it later on when you're not Winchester. You know what I mean?
That is very true. And I know you were talking to Nilly a little bit about how in previous tournaments, Viper has, specifically swapped up his play style and looked to throw little Easter eggs in there to try and, throw people off. But Nilly did make the comment he doesn't think Viper will be as willing to do that this time around. So it's definitely a curiosity, with, again, the size of the tournament and what's at stake, how much more willing players might be to look to confuse the audience versus just go straight for the victory itself.
Yeah, the big thing was really when he would get ahead, he would start to mix in some things. In hindsight, it's so easy, but there one in particular I remember was on Hideout, and he starts making guard towers everywhere. He was ahead in that game, and that had me make a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, it's Tato. Tato loves his towers, and I just, after casting Hidden Cup, when we look back, people, it really makes you feel dumb, all right? It really makes you feel dumb. It's so fun, but when you find out, you're like, what did we just guess, So, but I have to say, pretty passive start from Sundjata here. I mean, the Eagle's just now moving out. He's not found the enemy at all yet and is on the way to Feudal Age.
Which is peculiar because he's creating the militia. He already sent the one villager out to mine gold without the mining camp. So producing militia's got to find his opponent in order to send those militia out and actually look to do damage. But as well, militia just now starting to be built by Harald as well.
Yep. So I think it's greed you can get away with at times. Some players prefer to do that. Some players do not. I'd say an approach that some of the greedier will take is stay at home, push a lot of food, and then go forward, find the enemy, and then wall up like crazy behind it. And we're seeing that from Sundjata. Aztecs should have the edge in a man-at-arm engagement. I say when the archer switch comes in, you start to favor Mayans a little bit more in the matchup.
Okay, well, just now starting to wall on the left-hand side of the base for Harald. Again, I really like the position of his lumber camp and his mill very close together, so should be easy to defend behind his military buildings. And as he's walling towards his other wood line, looks like a lot will be protected. The pre-walls on the gold already, so super safe approach by his side as the man-at-arms, or not man-at-arms, sorry, the militia are beginning to be tracked here on the left-hand side.
It's an interesting one, right? Because Harald he's trying to buy time. He's trying to wall. This is what I talked about with Aztecs. Aztecs can get to fuelage a bit faster. They can use that extra gold, and they can stop the Mayan player from walling up. But good reaction here from Harald. Oh, wait a second. He didn't hit that palisade yet. You're kidding.
Yeah, a little bit of a failure there in micro, but does manage to wall out the man-at-arms at least. So it's just the eagle on the other side, not able to harass too much. The upgrades are in for both players, but with the scout advantage, this could be a one fight for Harald as they go for it. Let's see how the micro plays out.
That's a pretty big deal, actually. Just the fact the eagle is on the other side helped win the fight. But I will say that having, I don't know, collectively, that's not even a full man-at-arm across two people. It's not really that strong now, as there's probably, and there is, an archer range at home for Sundjata. So the big thing there was, I think, the time spent and the space to do what you want to do. So Sundjata will be fine with that. And also, Sundjata's eagle is still pretty strong and out there.
Absolutely, and definitely, I think the time that he afforded himself to get more efficient walls up is really important at home, because he's almost fully walled by the time those men-at-arms, as they're being chased by a T90 wolf, over there on the right-hand side.
Whoa.
You already mentioned it's barely a full man-at-arms. It looks like they might just go down. Is he bugging out?
He was bugging out. He was in the middle of the wolf. He was like in the belly of the wolf before the wolf even ate him right there. But, okay, the archer saves the day. Get some woo-woo-woos in chat, man. But, you know, game one of the first set of the day had some holes. These players playing very clean. Of course, yellow has a lot more walling to do. But, Dash, isn't it? It's so interesting how you look at the map and you might say, oh, someone's map is way better. But now the game's played out, and the person with the better map was actually the one who was on the back foot. And here comes Sundjata to try and break through.
That's a very good point, and that's all attached to that early aggression that you talked about, the ability of Aztecs to get up just the slightest bit faster and get their military forward. Will the wall complete? Looks like the Eagle's going to get here just in time to harass this villager by Harald. 2 archers, 2 skirmishers onto this wood line. This is going to be dangerous.
That's so frustrating, because it's not a lot of military, but look how effective it is. It denies the wall, kills a villager, might not even kill another one yet, but it's really close.
Ooh.
Okay.
Just barely going to get away as we garrison into the TC. A little bit of damage goes towards the scout. Some archers in defense here for the Mayan player, but completely on the back foot at the moment, while at home, Sundjata more than happy to just work on the eco, dropping the farms now.
And look at this. Now that safe gold is no longer safe. And, man, the blacksmith was really late for Harald. I think that Harald was hoping to play passive here because of the walls. But that one area wasn't walled up. And so now you can't go passive. You can't rely on just your farms. Or, I mean, at least you are. But, like, fletching really would have been in if you knew he was going to be open here. He's actually still open on the back side. I don't expect to see Sundjata do much more than just get value from this, micring down archers, and send in more. And he's already on the front wood line.
Yeah, lack of fletching is huge at this point. It's just allowing so much time to be bought on the backside of the base here by Sundjata. Still off of the gold is Harald. And so, again, that's going to stop the archer production while he waits for the fletching to come in. Now fighting up a hill against 2 skirmishers. Loses the first of his archers in this micro battle. Bringing in 2 villagers to help, though. I like this move. Just clear out the back of your base so you can focus solely on the front side.
Yeah, just things have snowballed here big time for poor Harald, and Harald's gonna have to get some military out. It's also really awkward because you can't make eagles against the skirms that are on front because you don't have gold right now. So you've got to get back to that as soon as possible. I think this is definitely a spot where we're gonna see Harald use the market. Your eco, you were off of wood, you were off of gold. You're gonna need to balance some things out. I think we'll see a market soon, and some players are better than that than others. Some players can use the market to catch up. Other players are not used to relying on that.
Yeah, you can really tell kind of how much this has thrown him. He had 2 idle villagers off to the left-hand side that were walling previously, but lots of idle eco in that regard while being harassed on this front wood line. He's finally back onto his gold, so the archer production can begin again, but now he's stuck inside his base at this point.
Yep.
And that just gives Sundjata free reign back at home. Look at that farming eco up and on the way. It's looking a lot cleaner.
That's beautiful, man. I mean, the farms are on the mill even. This is so satisfying. Look at that. I'm not used to seeing this in my... Oh, he's housed.
Pretty badly. 50 out of 50. He's sending 1 vill to build a house right now. That's a pretty nasty house right there. That said, if you just look at banked resources, 600 food to 200 there, much closer to clicking up to castle.
Yeah, the only risk I'd say here is it's one range investment, which means you're investing more economically, which brings you to all the things we've just said, but that can lead to you also losing some map control. So I think Sundjata's just got to be leery of that and decide on what's next. And it looks like Eagles will be next. We see a barracks on the front. So with the second barracks, we'll probably see some Eagles come out. I honestly feel as though I don't see the need for it, Dash. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but I would have liked to see the second range. You already have good numbers. You already have good upgrades. I know that maybe against Mayans you're playing towards their strengths, but continuing with archers also could have been decent with this fast of a castle time.
All right, 30% of the way up, grabbing the gold mining upgrade, but already teching in to that infantry armor and starting to build a few of those eagle warriors. I mean, granted, given that Harald's, the mass of Harald's army right now is skirmishers, this swap could really catch him off guard alongside the earlier castle age. This could be a 1TC, all in to some degree when you do some good damage with those eagles and start raiding.
That's a good point. I even whittled down the archer numbers in there. Look, immediate archer pickoff. Sundjata's playing super clean. And even just 2 eagles right now would probably push Harald back. Harald has actually made a switch, which is interesting. We don't see it too frequently nowadays. Switch on to stone. So after falling behind, switch to stone and is hoping to go for plumed archers. Also is realizing the pressure is going to come in and is building another layer of walls behind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't realize how early he brought 6 vills onto stone. He's basically at that 650 mark already. So maybe recognizing that he's going to be later to castle age and needs a more defensive setup at home. Leads a wall to bring his skirmishers back in. Wall's the Eagle Scout of all things in, so he's going to look to get that kill. But again, the numbers are falling just by virtue of these skirmishers harassing over the woodline.
Yeah, that was pretty slick though, I have to say, because now that you have some skirms behind here, you can whittle down the archers, and the eagle finally goes down. The walls can defend from eagles, and he's just buying himself time to get a castle up. But I'm curious if Sundjata's ever expecting that, because Sundjata seems like a full meta player. He's just going to go eagles and siege. The castle goes up, maybe, just maybe Harald could have defense against the siege push.
Yeah, he doesn't have vision of that stone just yet. And so might not be aware of it. Drops that siege workshop forward as you talked about. So looking to go all in. I actually like the fact that he avoided upgrading the archers or the skirmishers in any way. Went straight for second armor on the, or no, not quite, just the Eagle Warrior upgrade and looking to push in. But there goes the castle being rushed down by plenty of vills. Won't be a doubt castle. I like the walls in front as well, just being ultra safe and defensive with that placement.
I really like how Sundjata's playing this. He, of course, doesn't know about the castle, so the siege is, well, it's going to seem a little limited in a second, but I also love how Harald is playing this. Adding the second town center, probably realizing he's up against an all-in, so he can catch up with the vill count. He's going to have some plumed archers, and back in the day, Dash, when plumed archers were common, what you would see is you'd see exactly this. You get the castle, you start making plumes, but you rarely move out with them. You're just kind of hitting things from behind walls as you boom on 3 TCs. And even if you look at how much he has on stone right now, it's not as much as it was before. I feel like he could switch this into a second castle, third town center. He's got resources. He's in a good spot.
Yeah, now Sundjata immediately rotating around to take down the barracks and look to pressure elsewhere with the mangonel. So not looking to let up. I was going to ask you, what's the play at this point? You know, do you yourself, in seeing the castle, take the foot off the gas and look to eco up yourself, start macroing? Or do you continue to push forward? But it looks like he's already answered that question for us with the second mangonel out on the field and already looking towards the right side of the base, putting pressure on that second TC.
Yeah, the answer is both. Now, this is some confidence from Harald. Just 4 plumed archers. Let's see, there's an attack round from Sundjata, a split micro from Harald, splits away from that one as well. These plumed archers seem really slow for some reason. I don't know if it's because I'm zoomed out or what, but I'm usually used to them being faster. But yeah, Dash, you add eco, but then there's always going to be a spot to hit where the castle's not protecting. So that's Sundjata's making the right call here.
Alrighty, well, tracking on the right-hand side, a few skirmishers and those feudal age archers looking to do some damage to the plumes. But Harald, great micro, running away towards the hill. This supports in a lot of ways the Winchester call-out.
Yeah, I could see that. You know, I could see it being Winchester. 55 villagers versus 50.
Particularly because you said, or rather, Winchester typically is willing to take fights that honestly other players shouldn't.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
four archers against a mangonel.
Yep.
Most players in their right mind would not entertain the idea of that, but his confidence in micro, I think, is what speaks to me on that prediction there.
And it's always been that way. Like, for better or for worse, Vinch has always been like that. Now, there's other players too. You think the Leary, the Viper, Hera, those players, they're going to have the confidence as well. But yeah, this is an interesting game because the overall idle time for Harald is way higher right now. But he does have more villagers, and Mayans, as Dave has always said for years, as Harald's actually out of wood to repair the town center.
Yeah, that's big.
Mayan privilege. They're able to get away with a lot. Now, will Sundjata take out that mangonel? Sundjata should take out that mango, and does do so. The TC still needs repaired, and that's been picked off by the TC. And
oh my goodness,
this is ridiculous, Dash. It is almost too much for 2 people to talk about, man. Much less like myself if I was casting this solo. And the plumed archer counterattack was walled out. Another castle.
Okay, second castle coming down on the front of the base. I mean, while it is a small base, confined in space, he will be quite well defended at this point as long as the castle goes up. Important to note, as you said, Sundjata behind all of this has now moved to 3 TCs. One on stone, another one on the wood line at the front of his base. So definitely recognizing the fact that his ability to deal damage at this point has been lessened, and looking to move into a macro game and not get outpaced when it comes to the macro side of the game.
Yeah, so now he's got to hold. He's got to maintain that lead. I think this is the dangerous part about plumed archers. 2 castles to produce them now. And look at that micro from Harald. I mean, he's picked yellow. He might not be Viper, but certainly he's showing that he's got some skills here, which might be confusing some people out there. My worry for Sundjata is, what do you do from here? If you switch into skirmishers, which are great with Aztecs, it's so easy for the Mayan player to switch into their own eagles. So I think it's going to be tough.
I mean, in my head, it's a combo. It's you have to move into skirmisher defense at home. You know, have just a small force of skirmishers looking to defend against the raiding that will happen from the plumes.
Yeah.
Continue to macro up and then look to eagle raid your opponent to death. You know, either late castle or, you know, once you arrive in the Imperial Age. Yeah. Use your mobility of those eagles to kind of deal damage. We've got a rogue mangonel over here looking to take out a pack of plume archers. They're being microed while the eagles come in from behind, going to force that small group back. But again, over to Sundjata's base, we've got plumed archers knocking on the door of this house here on the right hand side.
I think you're spot on with that. I think there's actually a house on the other side of that. Or a door on the other side of that house, excuse me. Because there's no door on this side, so depending on the house.
It must be on the other side.
Yeah. Well, the Eagles are just not really doing much right now. And the micro from Harald. Plumed archers might not be meta for a lot of players, but Harald says they are. And he's got Sundjata surrounded right now. And again, the splits. And now we have the repairs from Sundjata.
Oh, you can see a bit of panic on the side of Sundjata as well. Tried to rush up that siege workshop. Now looking to repair the mangonel.
Wow.
Doesn't get it.
And now a castle is coming.
Oh
Dash.
my goodness. How many vills? How many vills?
Yeah. Is it doubt? We'll find out in a second. I mean, the eco...
Look at these weak vills. He's sending a vill forward with 4 health.
Who cares? Who cares?
This poor woman was just sent to the front lines.
No, he's not protecting the villagers.
No.
Doubt confirmed.
No, it is doubt.
Oh.
He tried to throw us with the yellow pick in game 1 with Mayans, and these villagers are just getting massacred.
Nice try, Doubt. Doubt went into this Hidden Cup. He didn't want to win Hidden Cup. He just wanted to convince everyone that he was Viper, honestly. That's like a greater compliment to him than anything, I'm sure. But
Counter castle dropped early.
Big shot.
Huge mango shot. And another one.
What? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know what to feel right now.
All of my opinions of this game just got flipped on its head with that one play right there. Losing near 20 plumes in that entire engagement, bringing more vills forward though. Not willing to be done just yet. Going to drop the outpost, look for better positioning. Perhaps even this hill, depending on which one thinks they're going to make it to the Imperial Age first. This hill with the relic on it could be solid castle drop.
Dude, he's still sending vills forward. I think it's a gather point in his TC, and now there's skirms and mangonels here, and more plumed archers are going to go down.
That is such a low pack of health there, with the elite skirmishers going to be able to fight this aggression off. And now securing that gold on the front of his base, all of a sudden Sundjata's position feels so much better just reaching Imperial Age.
Yeah. Plus, it's not as if, like, Harald has had so much on stone, it's not as if he has the eco to be an imp. He can't eagle tech switch. So Sundjata's Atlatl skirmishers are what I think, nice snipe there from Harald as he gets the monk, but I think there'll obviously be a skirmisher opening. They could probably kill all these plumed archers quite early. I think if I'm Harald, I stay as active as I can with the plumes, but I also try and maintain my numbers, dude. This is a real dangerous situation to be in. But there's a hole here. Oh, this is huge.
That is massive. Already taking out 3-4 villagers on the wood line and some more. I think he'll continue to run in. This force is as good as dead, so do as much damage as you can while you have the opportunity. Already the other wood line has been vacated. That would, I think, be the biggest concern at this point for Sundjata is access to wood. Because of these plumed archers and the way he's walled his base, there will be opportunities to raid, just as you said.
A great play from Sundjata as he's sending the skirms over to deal with this. He's going to save some of those villagers. He's also pressuring that castle. Now you see the armor upgrade coming in for infantry for Harald. Can Harald hold and get into eagles? Because eagles just wreck skirmishers. He's even using his plumes right now against the trebuchets. Yeah, that's not going to work for you, buddy.
Not quite, not quite. The Mango's targeting and taking out plenty of them. No reaction here on the plumed archers, but 3 trebs means this castle is going down quick, only 50% of the way to the Imperial Age. The pressure is on, and so there's a timer here. As you mentioned, how quickly can he get into that eagle switch to defend against the siege push from Sundjata? Sundjata bringing a forward lumber camp in support of his entire military force, but again, just highlights the difficulty of access for the woods. So I would like to see some of those small groups of plumed archers still getting around to continue raiding while looking to use those castles in defense and build up the infantry force to take on Sundjata's force head on.
This is a spot where I think Sundjata should make, it seems crazy, but either go for your own eagles, champions, or even a few jaguar warriors for now, because you know that the eagle switch is going to come in. So I think you've got to prep either your own eagles to match it in some way, or get infantry to counter those eagles. Now, big thing for Mayans, they don't really need their castles anymore, but they need gold, and the golds are actually right over here. So Sundjata's pressuring the proper area, getting his armor now on infantry, and he did have Eagle Warrior in before, right? So it's not like he's too far off from mixing in some of his own. That'll be strong, and I feel like it's falling apart for Harald. It was looking so good for a while.
No, it 100% is. I mean, just how far behind Harald is in getting the upgrades. Just now completing Eagle Warrior himself, but still behind when it comes to the defense upgrades, where Scale Mail just came in for Sundjata. So a definite upgrade advantage there. Now moving on to the second of the castles with 3 trebuchets. That's not long for this world. That means the plume production is going to fall straight through the floor. You can kind of see him looking to expand outwards from both sides of his base. He's actually, look on the left-hand side here, forward market and 1 barracks. So perhaps looking to raid just a little bit with Eagles, which could be one of his ways back into the game, but forward castle as well on this hill from Sundjata gives him so much control over both of those golds, those extra golds for Harald. He's going to be hurting for gold for production for that infantry that he plans to create.
Dash might be a bit early. Or it's definitely a bit early. But I think Sundjata might be, like, he's top 8 confirmed, in my opinion, based on what I've seen here.
Okay.
3 relics. You got it laterally, the perfect castle position. He's pressuring the castle. He even, if you look at his fog of war, has seen almost everything on the map. He had sent, like, even the small details, sending a few eagles to hit that stone a moment ago. Like, all these tiny little things. Sundjata's looking strong here, but has to be said, was Harald maybe a little bit too ambitious in some moments in that game?
It most definitely was. I mean, we're looking at that castle placement and bringing so few villagers forward and low health villagers at that. As you mentioned, separating his military from the villas themselves so that they could get flanked by the Eagle Warriors of Sundjata for a game in which he had control in well defending from that initial Castle Age push as well. I think there was a bit of a throw moment there.
Stone excites you when you're Mayans. You want to make all the castles and get all the plumed archers. That's great. But if you have enough stone for 3 castles at 25 minutes and the enemy only has 1, they're going to imp faster. They're going to have other resources with similar vill counts. And this is the case of, and I kind of touched on it, he went 2 TCs and kept 5 on stone. I was thinking he'd turn that into a 3rd town center. He was on 2 TCs for a while there, Dash. And he was on stone for a while. And you've got to switch. You get a lead with military and you diversify your eco a bit more. But even there, I don't think that was the big issue. I think if he would have made his 3rd castle on the left initially, and he would have just ran around with his plumes instead of trying to force impossible fights, it would have been fine. He just got too ambitious, I guess, with his micro.
Yeah, I'm still feeling the Winchester call out on the side of Harald. I do agree that we're possibly looking at a top 8 player on the side of Sundjata. My initial thinking was somebody like Hera in this case, because if there's one thing I appreciate about the way that Hera's game has improved over recent years is his understanding of how to play the map. We talk about really intelligent, castle placement here to kind of close out the game in taking over these 2 goals. He targeted the right areas of the map. He understood when his initial Castle Age push was kind of hitting a wall and stalling out, made a perfect transition when it came to eco. As you mentioned, knowing that plumes were coming in, gets those skirmishers out, but still keeps the pressure up with the Eagle Warriors. I think it just well strategized on the side of Sundjata.
Are we saying Harald or Harald? I'm going to let Twitch chat decide. Because I'm okay with either. I think it's
probably Harald. I think you're correct, because Harald would be with an E.
Okay, why did I even ask them? Because it's 50,
this isn't helpful at all.
This is not helpful at all. So you know what? Thanks, but no thanks, everyone. Agree on something at some point in your lives. Thank you. All right, Dash, let's move on. And let's speculate. We just brought up, we mentioned a few names for Sundjata. It's very easy to get excited about that. But now we have to talk home maps. And it's actually more difficult to guess who is... It's more difficult to know what maps the top 8 are going to play because they did not have to qualify. And they had all that time behind closed doors with the new map. So we have Sundjata going for Bay and Mudflow, and then Harald has Islands and Bypass. I guess it will be on Harald's map next.
Correct. And they don't necessarily have to play, just confirming, they don't have to play in the order they were drafted. He could choose either Islands or Bypass here, correct?
Yes, correct. He could do that.
Okay.
That, of course, is completely on him.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, whenever I see islands, I obviously think of the Viper, just because I know how confident he is on water maps, and that for him, he'll always view islands as a free victory. So I expect to see islands in pretty much every Viper draft, but of course, it's not unique to him, as you mentioned. Vinchester as well, willing to do that, coupled with the Civ picks, and that's the thing. When you hit the Civ picks, his his desire to play Portuguese, Goths as well being picked up, definitely calls for a Vinch. Bay and Mudflow are interesting picks on the side of Sundjata, though. I don't feel like those are as revealing. Obviously, Mudflow, one of the newer maps. Bay, a holdover from previous tournaments as well.
I wonder. Well, we'll really have to see more here, but there's a few thoughts that are coming to mind. Just want to point out with the draft, because there's a little bit of confusion in chat, and it's understandable. The draft makes it more complicated. The red box is a Civ that was globally banned, meaning that prior to all the picks, they said, nope, we're not doing this. And then they went back and forth with Civ picks. The crosshairs is what's called a snipe. So after all the Civs are picked, Ragas, you're crazy. Ragas, thank you.
Yeah, that's a huge... My goodness, 100 gifted subs. That's amazing. Contributing to the prize pool as well. Awesome support. Thank you, Ragas. But who really doesn't want to play against Saracens? What kind of a global ban is that?
Well,
or is that a Viper troll?
No. See, the thing is, Saracens are an all-in type Civ, and players who are confident in their standard ability are not going to want to play against those Civs. Like Nikov is the one that came to mind. He hates playing against Saracens, and he hates playing against Kumans. So you pretty much just leave another top 5 Civ available if you don't globally ban it. Because remember, you're not banning it just from the enemy. You're banning it from yourself if you pick a good Civ. So,
right. So you could globally ban Saracens, and then if your opponent picks Cumans, you snipe that, and you've dealt with the two that you absolutely despise playing against. Yeah, I just find that very interesting. And if we think Sundjata is a top 8 player, who isn't? Yeah, I don't know. That's intriguing. I know because the way you said it, where it's a global ban and leaving more OP Civs open, Viper has actually been vocal about this in the past. I'm not saying that I think Sundjata is Viper, but he's been vocal about this in the past, that he's not always going to look to globally ban a best Civ.
True.
In some cases, he finds it advantageous to ban something that's somewhat irrelevant, simply so there are more options for him to be drafting later on.
You know what? Someone just said in Twitch chat that Harald banned his people. He's a Viking, and he banned Vikings. What is that crap, man?
Well, you know what? He just didn't want to lead his people to war. He's thinking about their well-being.
That's true. I think, history was not too kind to Harald. I think that he did end up getting killed in battle, so that might make sense. You'd want to avoid that.
Look at that. Right. See?
All right. Well, let's find out in game 2 what we see here. I've seen islands, and I've seen something which makes me want to talk an awful lot and speculate on who this player might be, Dash.
I'm seeing it as well.
Yeah, so we're going to be into this game now. I'm 15 seconds into game 2, and Harald playing as the Italians. Completely standard, something you would expect from someone who would pick islands as their home map. It's one of the best Civs here. And now Sundjata has gone Celts. So let's break this down. You just
We're going to see a landing.
Yeah.
We're 100% going to see a landing here.
And which player? I mean, we've only seen one game. So remember poor Jacqueline. You were like, Jacqueline, you just for fun picked Jacqueline as your hero. And then Jacqueline looked amazing in game 1 on Arabia and then didn't look so good on the other maps. So what high-level player could dominate like that on Arabia and then have very little confidence with Islands meta?
I mean, Bhakti is a really good call out for that one.
Yeah, maybe.
Especially given the proficiency with the Mayans pick, and then as you mentioned, kind of a lack of comfortability on islands. To be honest, the other name I have written down for Jacqueline is Doubt. And that is both based on, again, the comfortability with Mayans, as well as the Bulgarians pick.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
I know that Doubt is a fan of Bulgarians, specifically. And so I had some curiosities about whether or not that one was Doubt. But I also like to believe that Doubt, as an experienced player, would have put up a bit more of a fight on a couple of the other maps.
So Dash, Harald paused 2 minutes in now. I know that like Hera, because he's got a big fan base now, like people think about Hera when it's a pause. But Backed is the OG pauser. He always picks Mezzo game 1 if he has an opportunity. And in Hidden Cup 3, it was his first series. I'm not even kidding you guys. His first series, it was actually game 1. And he went forward with Mayans, tried to lame, and then paused. And I said, you got to be kidding me. This isn't Backed. And after the tournament was concluded, it was indeed Backed. So I'm just saying, something to remember.
Yeah, he made it too easy on you.
Yeah, but anyway, so Italians, civ-wise, they have just all the bonuses that stack up nicely here. They probably are the most well-rounded water civ. The fact that it's cheaper to go up to the next stage is huge. You have cheaper fishing ships and cheaper dock techs. That alone right there, on top of all the upgrades you have, is a big one. Pelts, the first thing we thought of is this player is not going to try and win water, and they're going to try and take his land.
They are slightly later to the dock, looking at a back dock now for Sundjata. So, I think that's very telling that you're not going to be fighting for water. You just want the few fishing ships that you build to live as long as possible while you look to sneak a transport around and end up landing. I do also want to call something out. I don't know if you noticed this. Harald, he used a scout to lure a boar.
Yep.
Which... obviously, on islands, you're less likely to run into the opposing scout, and so you don't necessarily need that health. But that's an intriguing move that I feel like only certain players would be willing to make. Whereas on the side of Sundjata, he just went for the classic villager lure. So, 2 things about that. It's quite common, and again, I'm going to bring up a name in Vinchester who did it all the time in the qualifier. It's common because it's just less villager idle time walking out to get the boar, and you're not going to need that scout if you're trying to win water. But if you see the enemy has Celts, I don't know if having a weak scout is necessarily the best thing for you, because if Sundjata shows up with a scout and 2 villagers, you can't take an even fight from the get-go. So it's hard to say, Dash, but that might actually be a factor if we see a transport ship from Sundjata, because Sundjata it's back dock, it's Celt pick, which we don't see on this map. It's got to be thinking land. Yeah, waiting to see the transport queued up. Both players have picked up Loom, so expect to see them clicking to Feudal here soon. Second lumber camp being dropped on the side of Harald. He's got a villager looking to wall. So early Palisade walls.
Wow.
He is thinking about the Celts pick, and he is thinking about the possibility of a landing. So while his scout will be on the move looking for that, he's already pre-walling, and I think this is really, really intelligent.
That is sick. Yeah, maybe just go fast feudal to win water anyways, and just wall. If he lands you and you have a mini arena here, that's not really a bad thing. We'll still see a second dock. Is there a transport ship from Sundjata? Now, what if it's a mind game from Sundjata? What if Sundjata just goes...
I think it might be. Look at this. He's just now clicking to feudal after that last vill was made. He's got 5 fishing ships out. It could honestly just be a fast castle of some kind, and then look to retake water.
He's making a ton of fishing ships, and if the enemy's going fast feudal that they're going to eventually die. But I guess with the Celt Wood bonus, you figure it's worth it. Just still surprised to not see a transport ship, because at a certain point, if you don't have the villagers over there already, you're not going to be able to land them, as the enemy will have navy.
Yeah, and look at this. Harald is worried. He's walling towards the TC.
Yeah.
I love these walls, though. They're efficient, right? Because you cannot afford to wall, too much on the entire island. So walling straight towards the TC, the only vulnerable position right now would be his gold. But he's still got the scout on the move, looking for that landing. There's the transport.
Oh, it's coming out now. Okay, great. So I'm curious if Sundjata's even going to make it, because Harald is opening with galleys, and galleys can, not only are they quick, but they can snipe transports really, really fast. So I mean, my money is that the transport will probably work out, but it just does not feel like a player who's confident on water at all. And gosh, I had some of the top 8 cast with me for the qualifiers, and Hera said, and I quote, "If you see someone in hidden cup, just send it. That's me on islands." He made it seem like he had no confidence on water, that he didn't really care about it, and he said he's just going to send it, which implies YOLO, and this would be one way to send it, that's for sure.
I also think, yeah, as we've got the galleys making their way around the back, so is going to find those fishing ships, and galleys they make quick work of fishing ships once they get there.
This is so bad.
Oh no! No!
Oh, I mean, here comes another galley. Now I don't remember how many
galley
hits.
Kill a transport? Yeah, he might make it to to the islands before he dies.
I think it needs 12 hits.
Where's the micro?
Oh, he's blocking it. Oh, he's blocking it. Oh,
this
God.
Is so Vinch.
Oh, God. Sundjata. Sundjata, run away.
And he threw all of his fishing ships to the corner while all this is happening. They're just idle in the corner.
Oh, well.
Okay, he saves the Vills, though. They don't go down with the ship. That's good. The captain, allowed the crew to land and get away. But I also want to point out just the fact that Harald didn't overinvest into water. 2 galleys immediately started producing more fishing ships. Now he's adding a couple more galleys.
Yeah.
I think just to hold water because he knows that the landing isn't coming. 2 more docks being dropped on the front here by Sundjata. A pivot by him, knowing now he must contest water since he's not going to be able to get off his island. But Harald's got so much control. Late to castle, though, comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... Okay, let's say that it doesn't work for Sundjata. It still could, right? But let's just say it doesn't work. This is not a player... Like imagine a best of 7 semifinal, a best of 7 final. This is not good, to have miscalculated it that badly tells me they don't care about losing this type of a game, and they haven't even practiced too much, which is a little worrying long term. But Sundjata at least is in Castle Age now, and maybe could send a few fires forward. My goodness.
Right, getting the War Galley upgrade, so those fires will be quite potent against these Feudal Age galleys for now.
But I just loved the reaction from Harald to say, okay, you're not going to contest for water. I'm going to fish more, which led to this competitive Castle Age time. The only worrisome thing is that the fishing ships are on the front right now. So Sundjata's definitely got a chance to be able to push the fishing ships and even this out a bit.
3rd dock added on the front for Harald here. Plenty of fishing ships still at work, but with these fire ships coming in, there's going to be a lot of threat to each of these fishing ships, and not enough in defense right now when it comes to the galley or fire production from Harald. He is swapping into fire galley, so fire with fire here.
It's amazing, though. I mean, he lost a transport ship, was contested on water, but kept his fishing ships alive. Now is taking some fishing ships out. Feels pretty close still. My question now is, if you lack confidence, do you transport again? Oh, God. Never mind. We answered the question. Here he is.
Where?
He's
on
Harald's island.
On the front of his base. in your face stable, letting him know what's coming. I love the confidence all of a sudden. And this is all in. You called Hera and his commentary about being all in. I see stable dropped. But there's no way to get in. I mean, there's just a couple openings here.
I mean, that's a horrible spot for a stable. If the enemy wins water, you can't really produce out of it. But I guess...
Siege workshop now.
Then again...
But his stable's about to get walled in. He does get 1 night out. So let's see what kind of harassment can happen here. Running away from these spears.
The eco for Harald is not that good right now. He lost so many fishing ships, and the others are idle. He's honestly so focused about the landing that he's losing his fishing ships on water, and he does not have as good a food eco. This could work for Sundjata.
You're right. This is fascinating. He's got those 5 fires right now, but no more in production at the moment. So having had to have pulled all of those villagers out to look to defend against the stable itself, the eco's really taking a hit. We got a monastery now being dropped. I love how the forward is just shifting around the island as the pressure is coming in.
Seriously, and Celt Scorpions are insanely strong. I don't know, Harald, if this is the right play, but okay, a knight comes in, a stable at home was good. You take out the villagers here, you can take out the siege. And that's
right.
a good play from Harald. Starting to feel a lot better about Harald's situation now. TC should go up. And Siege Workshop will even go down. So stable walled in, Knight trapped in there. Siege Workshop will go down, Monastery useless.
And no more villagers to continue the pressure. So I think you're right. He's completely stopped all of this pressure in his tracks. Now it's just about getting his eco back up and running, right?
Yeah,
we talked about the mess that was made as he drops a second town center. We've got Sundjata doing the same thing on his gold back at home.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, the beauty of going Yellow Islands is that if a forward fails, they still need to go to your side. But I think we'll see it. There's no reason that Harald should skip making a transport right now. Make a transport and just transport your knights over to Sundjata's base. I think Sundjata either needs really well-placed town centers or a defensive monastery. I still, you know what? Another name that comes to mind. Do you remember seeing Barles versus Hart in the qualifier?
Yep.
Yep. Barles
that was generally a heartbreaking series just because it went so long and I was, both those players fought tooth and nail.
Like, I don't, even though we've talked about some other players, we're basing it on Arabia. Every single player at the high level plays in Arabia all the time, right? So it's not crazy as we could see a big demo. Okay, he wants to hit this instead. There we go. That's better, actually.
Yeah. Taking out the military, because now you can take out the fishing ships with the military. So I like the pivot.
But, like, anyways, back to my point. It's not unheard of for anyone. They're top 16 players in the world. They all should be able to play beast mode with a Mesosiv on Arabia. So this is twice now today. I feel like, I've gotten a little bit deceived by the quality someone brings. And then I sit back and I'm just like, wait a second. They're not prepped for islands. And so maybe someone like Barles, a player who did qualify, would fit the bill for someone like Sundjata. I don't know.
Yeah, and that to me aligns with the Celt pick, right? I can see Barles wanting to be generally a more aggressive player in that regard. On a map where he's less comfortable, just take the fight to the other island. Perhaps you win it early, perhaps you don't. I mean, you still have the option to boom it home like he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And, late game with a few castles, and if you can manage to get one over to your opponent's side, Woad Raiders can kill all.
True. And, if you see it as a real weakness, you say, whatever, I can afford to lose this game because I've got good strategies for the other maps. There's the transport now for Harald. It's in queue anyways. And I guess the monastery was bothering him, but I would have liked to have seen these knights 3 minutes ago. Because they could have been all around the eco for Sundjata. Now Sundjata's got monks at home already, so I don't think the knights will do too much.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. The monastery wasn't much of a threat. Monks alone aren't going to achieve much, so definitely could have left that up while the Siege Workshop and the stable were taken care of. Relics being picked up on the side of Harald at the moment.
Did you see that there's still fishing ships alive for Sundjata? He's still got 4 working. He's
just been moving them around, man. He took them from the back of his base to the front, and then when he dodged that demo, he's bringing them over to the right-hand side. They're stealthy fishing ships.
I mean, it's 15 military versus 5. It doesn't feel like it's unrealistic for Sundjata to possibly come back with a faster Imperial or something, but the Keld water tech tree is pretty poor if you ask me. I don't even remember if they get fast fire ship. Can someone in Twitch chat tell me? I think they do, but then they lack... They don't. They do. Okay, they do, but then they lack, what is it? Bracer, which can be a big deal on galleons.
Yeah, definitely going to be hurting for any water control later in the game, but take a look at the eco numbers. Starting to rise, 3 TCs for Sundjata, only 2 for Harald. And so we're starting to see a small difference in eco. The Knights, though, have landed. They're looking to do some damage. The one scout with him does great damage in terms of taking out the monk.
That was great. Also, just the idle time. You got to make Spearman now. That was great. To send the scout there. Oh, don't lose it now. Okay. Yeah, smart thinking. Harald, I think, you're always prioritizing getting to Imp here. But you just got to make sure that you're not allowing the opponent to stay on water like they are right now. It's a tough balance. And I feel as though Sundjata's given himself a chance. 68 villagers against 59 right now.
2 relics apiece. So both of them already thinking ahead in that regard. Still a little bit of jostling done for water control on the front of Sundjata's base, but he's really not putting much of a fight up. Nice demo there on 3 ships.
It's the same docks, dude. This is ridiculous. He continues to repair these docks and get demos in. He hasn't had to redock on the front at all, which is just crazy.
Fishing ship still hard at work for both players.
Look how he's positioned the Vill too, Dash. He's made it so the fires can't, for whatever reason, you can't diagonally hit that villager. It's perfect position.
It's a hero. It's a hero villager right there. 7 HP, staring death in the face. Says, "I don't care. My foreman told me to hammer this dock, so that's what I'm going to do."
Do you think it's a fun job? Like, boss, do I really have to hammer the dock that's on fire again?
Right. Yeah, I'm not a firefighter. You need a license for that.
Oh wow, there's this monk in the middle. Oh no.
Oh, demoed. But both players, I think, picked up redemption because I saw both attempting to convert ships from the other side. So let's see if those play much of a role. But we've got the Imperial Age click up here for Sundjata. That extra eco, doing work for him.
All right. By the way,
what's the play? Is it castle at home in order to drop more docks and try and get control, or is it going to be another YOLO? Send a few villagers to either a center island or the opponent's island for a castle drop.
Chat. Obviously, chat is giving you a hard time for the redemption comment. You don't actually need redemption to convert ships.
Wow.
And listen, I know nothing about League, so that's completely fine. Don't stress it. But I think
I'll take that L.
I think Sundjata's approach should be prioritize winning water with fast fire and then land immediately after. So don't try and take this late. So it's actually interesting now that Harald is going to try and land Sundjata. So it might distract Sundjata's attempt at winning water if he's got something like Condotieros or what? A castle there too?
The 3-Ville castle plus a barracks and a monk to observe.
What? What's so weird about this is it's going to be huge if it's not spotted. If he shows up with a few Condotieros and Trebs, so much of this eco gets denied. But if it's spotted, Sundjata will just make trebuchets and treb it down from the other side of the wood line, no problem.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's not going to be spotted, and I just took a look at stone count. Sundjata's nowhere close to a castle. He's only got 3 vills on stone at the moment, 195 in the bank. So while he's the first to hit Imperial, and no castle drop anywhere to be seen, this is going to catch him completely off guard as he's swapping into water, but he's already been landed.
Wait a second. Okay, so I'd like to blame Project Belgium if I'm wrong on Celts getting fast fire. He's clicked heavy demo. He's not clicked fast fire. Do they not get fast fire? He's going to try and demo these down. Now, heavy demos could be insane here, Dash. Okay, they don't get it. Thank you, Project Belgium. Even the high-level players don't even know, Dash, because this is so rarely picked.
And I was getting crap for saying you needed redemption. I think I get a pass if one of the top... is Belgium top 20? Top 30?
We'll give him top 30. Yeah, we'll give him top 30.
There you go. Top 30 player doesn't know who gets fast fire. I get a pass on the monk comment.
That's true. But dude, this is insane. The fact that, look at Sundjata's coverage. He sees virtually everything, and he wants to go for a transport. What if he ends up castle dropping the enemy at the same time?
Oh my goodness, that'd make me the happiest person in the world.
Oh, jeez.
Still 200 away from a castle himself. We've got 6 Condotieros sitting in both of those barracks at the moment. A trebuchet on the way. I actually love the patience here by Harald. Knowing he hasn't been spotted, he's going to wait until he has another trebuchet in the queue so that he can pressure completely and look for the killing blow right out the gate. But there's the landing on the other side. Double barracks from the Celt player. Will he follow this up with the castle?
He doesn't see it, dude. He doesn't see it. How does he not see it? And Sundjata's going to go for pikemen. Can he deny a castle with pikemen? What the?
Ooh. But look at this. Look at the castle at home by Harald.
Yeah, it's a good castle. It's a good spot. If the pressure starts coming in, I don't think that castle will be denied. And we have the Condotieros showing up. I always say it. Don't trickle treb. When you're being sneaky, surprise the enemy. And what a surprise this is. Immediately, Sundjata falls back to a castle in the middle of his island. But he can't take those farms. He can't take the wood. He'll lose the TC. bleeding heavily right now.
Yeah, he just lost control of a third of his island. These condos are so hard to deal with, even though they're not fully upgraded just yet. But like you said, 2 trebs already on the island, none being built in defense just yet until this castle goes up, and it's already under siege.
Yeah, you can't make anything, really. I mean, make your own trebs and repair this forever, but I don't see this really going well for Sundjata, and I suppose we kind of felt like it wouldn't go well for him on islands when he picked Celts and failed with the transport initially, but what a crazy game.
He's attempting the pikeman raid, but with a couple Genoese crossbowmen plus, condos and pikes in defense, this is going to get nowhere. Drop in a tower on the wood line for the smallest semblance of control, but now 3 trebs working on that castle, only 1 in defense. This is looking bad.
The big thing here is just keep the Vils alive. If you have the Vils in the enemy island, there's always a chance, but I think he's not pushing, and he's getting pushed to the degree where it's not going to work on either side. So it's a double whammy here, and I think this series is going to be tied up in a second. These condotieros are doing work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Without a castle at home now, there's nowhere really to fall back to. There's no way to push these trebs off the island because you built your 4 barracks forward. So your only military production is a siege workshop and a barracks, and there it is. The GG's called.
All right, now most important highlight to look back on before we sum up the game is this moment right here. I'm sure everyone knows that this is what changed the game, so let's watch it again. All right, and that's where I knew that Harald would win the game because God wasn't on his side. Yep, I know.
Incredible demo, Micro.
Yeah, I mean, God wasn't on his side, and he was always going to take it from there. Am I supposed to... I'm using Capture H Pro, by the way. I'm going to just speed up through the whole game because I think I should have looked at the stats first. But it's all right. It's super fast. There we go. We're good. And yeah, we'll sum up this game with these stats dash. But like the main thing, even before looking at the stats, to me, is just the fact that I don't think that Sundjata likes or knows water maps very well.
No, it does not appear to be the case. Celt's such a peculiar pick there. To be honest. I mean, again, it makes sense to me given the strategy choice and looking for that landing, but was so much later to Feudal Age. And maybe credit has to be given where credit's due to Harald for going fast Feudal.
Yes.
Understanding that pressure might be coming and getting those early walls up. I think the early walls did wonders in terms of staving off the pressure that was attempted in the stable siege and monastery push.
Yeah, it was Harald kind of expecting what would come with Celts, and even though it wasn't like pretty, he got the job done, right? I don't think that he would say that he executed as best as he would have wanted to there, but gets the win. And now I'm wondering, because this has been kind of a theme where players are they just seem stuck on certain maps, is like how is Harald going to look on Sundjata's home maps?
That's a good question. That's a good question because so far Arabia and Islands, right? I mean, Islands is, while probably, or definitely a less practiced map than Arabia for all of these players, is still a fairly common one.
Yes.
And we're waiting on the rest of those hidden cup maps to come in. Looking at Mudflow, looking at forgetting the name with the pass through in the middle. Right now.
Bypass. Yep.
Oh, that would make sense. Bypass with the pass through. Looking to see those 2 maps play a role in this series and how each of these players will react to the opponent's choice in those maps. Yeah.
Well, before we start game number 3, I can see it will be on Mudflow. Big shout out to everyone again. Thank you for the support today. The goal for me going into this was obviously to put on a great tournament, have a massive prize pool for the players, and have some fun. But as far as viewership goes, this is amazing for a Thursday. Make sure you get it here on Saturday and Sunday, the big quarterfinal day, and then the semis and the finals. My goal
100K?
No.
T90.
No, my goal is to reach Hidden Cup 3 numbers because that was an insane time. And it just feels like that's going to be a tough goal to reach. But yes, I will go bald if we hit 100,000. So
I was going to say, I'm waiting for it to be at like 99, 900. And then T90 just pulls the plug. Oops, technical difficulties. waits for about 5,000 people to leave the stream, loads it back up. Oh, I'm back.
There's no contract. I can do that.
It's
you know?
true.
I mean, it hurts my channel's progress, but it helps my hair. So we'll see. Thank you, Robert the Hun. It sounds like a hero name right there. Actually, no,
For
Robert
real?
doesn't really sound like a Hun name. Sorry, but
That's a good point.
it's like Bill.
Yeah, I'm not sure Robert had made it to East Asia at that point in time just yet.
Exactly. Oh God. Well, anyways, let's hop in. Game number 3 here. Again,
Alrighty.
what's the preparation going to look like? Surely Sundjata's going to understand this map, but will Harald? The players, they had about a week to test out the maps and do all these different things, but it's still not a ton of time, and it really has spiced it up. Earlier today, we saw this map, and both players went for completely different strategies. Harald is in the yellow, playing as the Japanese, and then in the blue, we have Sundjata. It's his home map, playing as the Chinese.
This is interesting. Chinese makes sense based on the start, right? You get the fish right there next to the TC, so the extra villagers, able to start working immediately on that food eco. So it's a really intelligent pick here, I think, and obviously a very versatile civ with lots of options and cheap upgrades. Japanese on the other side, what's your opinion of them being picked on this map?
I don't love it, Dash. In the practice games that I've seen, practice games that we played, I played like 6 different versions of this map as we were trying to find a good version to pass along to the test players. But while it is nice to have the cheap lumber camps and the cheap mills, because there's plenty of places to chop wood and to forage, I just don't feel like it's quite as strong as something like Frank's, something like Khmer, even something like Hun's, I don't know, might feel a little bit stronger. But anyways, I think you look at this with the logic of Sundjata has practiced this map, and he's going to have something strong planned. If I can get a win here, it's almost like 1.5 wins, right, in a Civ draft scenario. By the way, can you hear noises outside?
No, I'm good.
No, like my outside. You can't hear anything?
Yeah, no, I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, there's someone, like, I don't know if he's got a weed whacker or what, like right outside my place right now. Doesn't he know it's Hidden Cup? Jeez.
He should.
Yeah, man.
I'd
Be like, hey, buddy, do you have a Twitch Prime out there? He's like, what? Like a Twitch Prime. All right, anyways.
You can link it to your Amazon account and sub to me for free.
It
contributes to the prize pool.
He'll be like, what? Oh, I already have a pool. Oh, God. Sundjata's going to get badly housed here. A lot of people were saying that MBL already played, but it is something that he's done before. That hurts with Chinese.
Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, does get the house down, forced down with the lumber villagers. I'm already curious about this. We've got the forward lumber mill. I know that some players might opt for something safer in the back of their base, but Sundjata not afraid to go forward into the water portion and the larger woodlines.
Yeah. So Dash, this is. I've seen a few practice games from the top 16 themselves, only because some of them forgot to make their games private and they were on their player profiles, and I downloaded them like a snoop.
Okay.
And of those games, a lot of players, now granted they were training together, would go for something like a scout or man-at-arm opening into a dock or two in late feudal to make some fires and galleys. Now, we saw someone open with that, and it failed today, so it's really hard to say, but I've never seen a drush. So this is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense with Japanese, right? Just making use of the infantry bonuses that they get. But how much damage are you really going to be? It could very well catch Sundjata off guard, although only 2 militia going forward at the moment.
Yeah, it's a two-parter. On one hand, you want to drush Chinese because Chinese get loom at the start. But on the other hand, you want to leave Chinese untouched. So I think if a Vil gets picked off here, and it looks like it will, with amazing work from Harald, I quite like this. The only concern now is, will you be feudal age soon? Because there goes Sundjata on the way there.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, as long as the quick walls come in, he should be safe. But there's still potential for another Vil kill if any of them are caught out. But yeah, very successful drush off of just 2 militia at the moment. We've got the faster feudal, obviously, on the side of Sundjata. He brings another 5 out onto wood.
You know what's fascinating about a drush here, Dash, and it just dawned on me. Typically what happens when you run out of space, or sorry, you finish off your buffalo here, boar, whatever, is you start to make farms around the TC. On this map, you have to make farms around mills. So if you wall in your mill to protect from militia, you can't comfortably farm there. It's not like you want to farm 10 tiles away from your TC either. So this, with the way Yellow scouted this, might have been just to keep him from expanding to the second berry area and expanding to farms.
That's a really good point. Now we got 3 villagers working to drop the barracks for Sundjata. Wants to get that in just before feudal age hits. We'll see what the follow-up is. He's got no one on gold, so perhaps it is a scout follow-up.
But he doesn't have the wood to make the stable yet, so it has delayed him. Plus, I don't see it being realistic for Sundjata to get both like the farm and the wood eco upgrade right off the bat. So that pressure, even without the Vil kill, I think really shook Sundjata, and Sundjata doesn't know where to send his eco right now.
Yep, the stable going up now as we flip to the other side of the map. Scout harassing those berry villagers. A dock going up.
Wow.
For Harald.
Dude, this is, again, another game on this today. Actually, that's huge. That villager could die. Never mind.
Just got the militia.
But the approach is so different here, right? I think this is going to be man-at-arms and fire ships coming from Harald. So weird.
4 on gold. So he's looking to produce as soon as he hits feudal. He's got these 4 militia now, actually. All of them linking up together. So this could be actually a decent amount of pressure still coming forward against these scouts.
Oh, I can see it all happening now. To think about it, Sundjata, he's going to...
galleys. He wants to harass the woodline. It's just straight up galley.
Because you have to... The scouts can't fight that, so you wall it out. But if you add a galley and sit it behind the woodline, then what did the scouts do? The only thing the scouts can harass right now is Yellow's eco. And if Yellow, in theory, gets some spearmen in defense, which isn't here yet, it could work out.
That's true. That's true. Both of his woodlines, while on the back of his base, quite exposed at the moment, even the berries themselves. So it's, and there it is, already on the front side. Harassment onto these villagers. Does get one of the scout picks with the villagers, so looking to fight, retreating back to the galley, and the spearman is out.
All right, spearman
so
out now. This is so fun to watch. And now you have a tower on the woodline, which I think is a great call from Sundjata, seeing what would happen if there wasn't a tower there and how the villagers would have to run into the hands of the man-at-arms. The scouts on the move, and Harald messing up the quick wall. That could be 2 additional villagers down.
Yeah, at least 1, and then he'll likely flip and be able to micro this next one down. A 4th scout coming in, so the pressure is going to stay high. Yes, these spears are here in defense and chasing them away. I agree with you. That tower, though, a really intelligent placement, understanding that those galleys were going to come forward. He is repairing this mill. So small amount of damage being done and looking to bring up an archery range in defense of those men-at-arms.
It is so tough to do anything on this map if you don't have military. Another Vil down. Exactly. Like, you've got to have some mobility, I think. And another villager down.
Another on the front, and it's on the archery range. That's huge. And another.
6-1 KD. And I think now at this point, Sundjata can just mix in an archer or 2. Taking gold at home, no problem, and push the man-at-arms away. And now it's leaving me to wonder, was this how Harald planned for this to go? Probably not.
No, I can't imagine. So 7 to 8 eco behind now in total. Still just repairing that mill at home. Looking to get his first couple archers out to deal with just the man-at-arms.
Sundjata, I don't think Sundjata was, sorry Dash, but I don't think he was expecting to face this strategy, but he adapted to it so well.
Really, really well. These men-at-arms didn't achieve too much. They're now going to get pushed away. Harald just running over to the left-hand side, dropping those cheap mills, so making use of the cheap mills, but it might get scouted out as these scouts come over to the left-hand side.
It's so far away. Sundjata would never go out there. Sundjata's still just looping around, and why not? But we've got a tower in the middle for Harald. I think one thing that we've seen be very strong on any map that has water is galleys. So you fall behind on land, if you can somehow take control of those big wood lines in the middle, With galleys, maybe you've got a chance here if you're Harald, despite the build difference.
Still keeping those scouts active.
Mm-hmm.
Very good to see, but not going to find damage as long as these spears are here. I think, though, it's just so easy for him to relocate those wood lines. So, yes, good tower forward, good pressure from the Japanese player, but just easily sending all of his vills over to the right-hand side. He's got the archers now patrolling over there to make sure that they're not going to get pressured. And with those archers, it's going to be very hard to get any more tower drops down.
At this point, Harald's feeling like he's on the clock. And this might be the GG move. Because the second archers show up, the spearmen don't do anything, as if they were doing much before. And his galleys didn't find the new wood line. He went to the left side to check. They're over on the right side, and there's already another tower for Sundjata. So perfect planning for Sundjata. And, I mean, the choice is yours, Sundjata. You've got stone, berries, gold, everything to hit right now.
Yep, he's going to push those villagers off a stone, pushing another set of villagers off of the berries. I mean, that's near 10 villagers idle right there. When you're already down in eco numbers, this is really going to hurt any opportunity to go towards castle and look for that all-in pressure, which I feel like is the only option remaining for Harald at this point.
Yeah, I mean, both of their economies are rather weak, so it's a weird one. To see 6 on food right now for the winning player is awkward, but defensive towers going up, probably seeing more and more farms. Men-at-arms and the galleys are underneath the tower, though. What a weird situation this is. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, might be able to grab 1 or 2 picks here. We got a couple archers going down, though. And just the one man-at-arms remaining. Let's see if the archer will pick it off.
I'm a little worried for Sundjata because despite the vill count, I'm not seeing military right now. 3 military.
And just tower defense.
It's not the most confident approach. It's not like resources are floating to the point where I expect to see Sundjata click up to Castle Age either. So we're 20 minutes in. Normally, if this was Arabia, players start thinking of clicking up to the next age. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon.
No, these 2 archers on the south side getting chased out by the 3 of Harald. So that's going to stymie all the pressure that Sundjata did have. Playing much more defensively now. You see the tower dropped on the farms in the back around that mill. As you mentioned, it's just so dangerous to get your food eco up on this map because of the inability to place them around the TC. Still has 4 villagers on stone. So I do like the cautious approach with the towers.
Yeah. It's just that transition dash. Like, even having more archer numbers would be important here. The fact that this wood line's still exposed and you don't have even a dock. Like, what about a dock and a few fire ships? I feel as though Sundjata is possibly throwing what could, or most cases should be, a winning position.
Yeah, just 2 galleys here harassing yet another tower to be dropped to protect the wood lines. It will go up just by virtue of how many vills are being thrown at it with 1 vill pick. He did drop another archery range as well. So where you asked for more archer numbers, it looks like he's going to deliver on that ask.
I would love to see Harald maybe just hold this position for the rest of the game, send a ton of villagers on Gold Dash, make a market, and buy food. If you get Japanese towers with siege, it feels like it's going to be so awkward for Sundjata to be able to continue, even with additional villagers, if all they're doing is chopping inefficient wood lines.
Yeah, he's dropping another tower, so he's keeping up the pressure while it is in, the vision of Sundjata. No reaction just yet, and that is at least going to harass one part of this wood line. Very claustrophobic over here on this right-hand side. There it is. There's the response in tower. See if he can get it up. The galley's coming back over, looking to put a stop to that.
Galleys seem really strong in certain stages. I mean, if there's a garrison there, that could be tough for Sundjata. There's not a garrison, but that's because there's other things to focus on. Look at this on the left side. Finally, a counterattack for Sundjata. Beautiful runner micro, using the hill here.
Yeah, focusing the archers first with the zone. Has the hill. Should be able to make work of these 2 skirmishers while taking just a little bit of damage in return.
Yep, skirms are armored, so it's awkward, but I'd like to see him run. Just run to the back of his base, keep him away, and it just felt natural. There's the call. There's the market. If Harald can get to Castle Age faster, this is definitely possible, despite all the vill losses in this game. The KD's 8-4 with eco.
Yeah, the archers go down. So again, Harald establishing map presence. I think that is the big thing, like you say. Knowing that he needs to all in, he's doing everything he can with these towers, even if they will go down.
This is
to apply
suicide
pressure.
for Sundjata. Why? Why? You know the galleys are around. Why would you run in here and just toss away villagers like this? It was such a poor play. I don't think it's worth it to take out that tower. And now he's got to run away anyways. And look at the repairs. Oh my god, Harald is not going down without a fight here, Dash. This is insane.
Yeah, trading 2 villagers for 2 galley kills, essentially, was the end result of that play. Tower war still taking place. Will an extra Vill go down? Just barely gets it away. All right, the tower will be pushed back.
Oof. Look at that, man. Look at that. Harald
castle
on the way up. Now, Sundjata is going to have a much cleaner eco, but I could see one knight ruining that. Look at all these farms. Knights become really important now. I don't think Harald with 7 on food really can do a lot more than make a few towers and like choose one thing, like, I don't know, Bodkin or something. And here you go, Sundjata catching out the villagers. Finally, he's picked up on what to do here, Dash. Mixing in a fire as well. He's holding on to wood for now.
Yeah, that fire is going to do work against the singular galley. Will likely go down, though, to the skirmishers and archers just after that.
Yep.
You see how Harald is dropped a second dock and going into straight galley and fire production, though. So wants to continue controlling the water through navy.
Whereas Sundjata, this is such a land player, man. He's like, I could just see that Sundjata must groan. Like, oh, you're telling me I gotta make a dock, you know? Like, it seems like he really does not want to make docks. And many people watching might relate to that. But he's gonna go for a stable. I think knights are good. But there still is a risk that mass water in the middle could win the game for Harald.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is while Sundjata's the one making or swapping into Cav, Harald is not the one with a farm eco because he's going for navy. So it'll be interesting to see how much damage he can really do. I mean, obviously, again, most resources on this map are far away from any defense. So it's going to be about scouting that pressure coming in. And looking to get, either walls up or units in position to defend. And if all of your military is on water, how do you defend against an attack on land?
Oh my god, there's 3 demos here, but a big attack. Oh man, what a crazy moment. I feel like 20 villagers could die on either side here. The demos could go to the wood line. There's currently a TC going up for Sundjata. And now you've got the villagers on the backside for Harald as he has to force down the tower, and he will definitely take losses here too.
Oh yeah, a great micro here. As they become crossbows, he's just microing away from the skirms, looking to do eco damage. The tower does go up, so he'll have to move away, but got 3-4 Vill kills throughout all of that, and we'll just continue running and harassing.
Yep.
Big eco difference.
Yep, 49 to 38, and I think the big thing here, Dash, is that he solidified control of the middle with the TC. So he's got the TC up. The Knights, they can just run past the war galleys no problem and hit the wood lines to get a few more villager kills. And if Sundjata can just extend his eco lead, which he will do with these crossbowmen, maybe then he could do anything.
Yeah, husbandry's in, +1 on the Knights. The first one goes back just to deal with this archer that's harassing the gold.
Wow.
But he's set the first 2 forward, to deal with the skirmishers. These crossbows still doing work on the villagers, creating complete chaos.
Yeah.
And Harald's.
I mean, these crossbows could get demoed, but at this point, they've gotten enough value, I think. What happened to the other demos, by the way?
Here. This is going to be ugly.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the demos because we were too busy watching Harald die. Crazy raid from Sundjata.
That's a really good question. Where did they go?
I think they might have hit the house or like the TC or something.
Oh, brutal.
Oh, wait, no, you could see the bodies here. You can see the bodies. That's a co-caster's job, man. People are going to blame that on me.
Well, who's the co-caster here, really?
Oh, really? You're gonna pull the joke? All right. Just enable chat. Nilly was enabling chat's behavior earlier, and you're gonna do the same. Appreciate it.
That's what I'm here for. But yeah, I mean, you can see it in the score difference as well at this point. It's looking pretty done and dusted for Harald at this point as the Knights continue to stream forward while the Vills get pumped out of these 2 TCs. The eco is going to continue to climb and there's just not enough control on the side of Harald to really do damage. He's bringing the galleys forward to harass some of those farms that you talked about.
Yeah.
So, taking 10 villagers off of farms is definitely some worthwhile damage. But again, as soon as they're relocated elsewhere, the damage been stopped.
I am so bothered by Sundjata's complete neglect of water. He's had the eco to make fire ships, and now we're seeing guard tower, which is not bad. But so many things,
next?
like so many. Oh, it's a moonwalking demo.
Oh,
Boom.
what? That was like what?
Of course, we see that one.
There was an easy 5-vil demo right there, and then the GG.
Just gets so...
Yeah, I would call it there too, I think.
Oh, what a sad time to call the GG. But okay, Dash.
Oof.
Listen, Hidden Cup is all about assuming way too much, way too early. Okay.
Yeah.
But do you feel in some level there that Sundjata felt like, I'm way ahead, I'm just gonna do whatever, and not even go towards the proper move, which would have been making a few docks and making fires? Was there some of that there? Because that's weird to me in a big tournament. Like, does that mean that...
It's also a player who's really comfortable playing towers.
Yeah, but that's...
So, for example, like Viper would never approach this map that way. He just wouldn't.
Listen, Dash,
there's no way.
I have PTSD and I need to talk to you about it, all right? You're my therapist now. Listen, that's what I said last year. And then Viper went guard towers, and I was like, this is Tato. And then afterwards, Viper's like, haha, funny, faked out the whole community. So I'm sitting here like, I'm not saying it's Viper, but I'm just a little bit suspicious when someone doesn't make a few docks in that instance.
You're right. He, as you said before, he's one of those players where I feel like once he knows he's in winning position, like he'll take reasonable risk once he's in control. For the sake of taking that risk and putting on a show. And this may have been one of those cases where he realized how far ahead he was because of the Vil picks early on, because he was able to defend against the man-at-arms fairly reasonably, that maybe at that point he just decided, yep, it's going to be tower defense until I can get to castle and flood with some knights. There's a possibility, but there's definitely, I think, a few other players I think who are a little bit more willing. Yeah, like MBL is a player that actually I think would be more willing to just throw up towers.
Yep, definitely.
Get to the next stage and say, screw water. I'm killing you with knights.
There's actually a beauty in the fact that set that Nilly and I casted earlier was so early, because so many viewers were just like, this is MBL. And even Nilly and I thought the same. If MBL's still out there, there's a lot of people assuming that he's just been knocked out. That might not be the case. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
what about Yo? This is the one other name I want to throw out there. What about Yo for Sundjata?
I could see it. The
Aztec picks make sense to me. Not wanting to play islands and just kind of going for something YOLO. Mudflow, ignoring the water. Towers are reasonable.
The thing is, it's complicated because I think the way Sundjata opened was perfect, but it was just the neglect of water later on that was a little sus. So I really, the only person I feel as though I have somewhat pegged in this set is Harald so far, and I still believe that would be Vinchester.
I'm convinced it's Vinch.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I'm not even convinced Sundjata's, who you might have in your top 4, top 5 yet. He's just really good players, up 2-1 here, but we've actually seen twice now where one player doesn't seem to really know or doesn't perform as well on a home map, which leads us to a very exciting time, Dash, because do you see what's next?
I do, and I have so many questions.
I haven't hopped in yet, actually, but I know it's bypass, and boy, I can't believe this.
I have so many questions.
Let's do it, Dash.
All right.
So to the viewers at home, this is the first time that we will debut this map in Hidden Cup. It's a brand new map. And look at the civilizations. Harald, remember, won on islands earlier, having Portuguese in his back pocket, saved Portuguese for bypass, And then Sundjata has Malay of all civs. Talk me through what's going through your mind, Dash.
Why do you pick Goths? Well, granted, it was his last pick, right? Based on how it's drafted.
Yeah.
So, maybe it was just, hey, this is my last pick. But why do you pick Goths and then not use it here is one question I have. I'm not really sure where you're seeing the strengths of Portuguese, unless you're planning to try and push, make a castle age push, get through this wall, drop a castle, and organ guns and siege, right? Because if you can isolate a choke point and a single combat point, I can see some reasonability in the Portuguese pick. But otherwise, I struggle to see where any of their other strengths are really going to provide you anything on this map. Likewise, we got Malay on the other side, which I guess my first question will be whether or not we see the strategy of the early feudal eco upgrades into castle at that point, or if he's going to try and play it a little bit more of a straight castle.
Dude, here's a thought. Which civ is better? Twitch chat, help us out. If you had to pick one of these civs in this map, which civ would you pick? Because I was thinking about that as you were explaining. Portuguese have Arbalests, which are identical to Malay. They have monks, which I think are identical but cheaper. They have Cavalier. They have light cav with full upgrades. Malay do not. They both get good bomber cannons. They both only get capped ram. They both only get onager. I'd say what really needs to work for Malay would be the crazy build orders you can go with advancing faster to the next age. But I almost feel like Portuguese have more potential here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, in this specific matchup, they just might. I mean, I do think that castle and siege with a couple knights, a couple monks, some mangonels, and a castle. You're definitely looking at a very solid castle age push against Malay, who would struggle to deal with that. Having only archer options.
Dash, are you familiar with the legend of the liar?
I do. That is a legend I must have missed.
Okay, so as a player around 13 or 1400. Oh, are you kidding me? Hold on. This zebra.
Oh, Lord.
This poor zebra doesn't want to be eaten. And who can blame him, really? Anyways, he's a 13 or 1400 player who would go into a game picking Malay. He would always favorite hideout, which is kind of similar, and we'll get to that. And what's happening with the zebra? Hold on a second.
I like how Sundjata is just like, screw it. I'm over it.
He gave up on
You win. I'm killing this ostrich instead.
Yeah. So anyways, he would pick Malay, and he would say to his opponent at the start, hey, man, I meant to pick Magyars, except he would actually misspell it and say Magyard. He's like, what do I do with this civ? And so the enemy, normally they'd be really nice, and they'd be like, oh, you've got this and that, and like help him out. And he 100% knew Malay, and he'd go sneaky stables, and he'd show up with a bunch of cheap elephants and wreck people. So chat is possibly excited for some elephant action, and I don't think that is too crazy to think of when there's this bypass in the middle.
Yeah. That said, we've already got Harald walling up. House, extra palisades. Okay. I was going to say it's interesting to me because I did catch up on the show matches just last night that, unlike in the show match of bypass where we had somebody go forward with kind of the black forest strategy and gain that extra space, it's not going to be the case this time around. And in fact, Harald taking extra precautions to make sure he doesn't get hit with any early aggression.
Yeah, and Sundjata just doesn't seem too bothered by that at all, maybe just assuming some things. It's important to note, you cannot build in this sandy terrain here, so castle drop is not possible, though a tower rush would be. Also, on the sides, there's plenty of food, gold, and stone. So if you push the middle and you don't control the outer ring, you could lose the game. And this is the exact build you had mentioned, Dash, and it's making use of the Malay bonuses perfectly. It's a fast feudal, very fast feudal, into feudal age eco upgrades. Yeah, you can see this working really well.
Harald has 2 on stone.
Ooh. So this is
now
fast
3.
castle organ guns from Harald's?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking.
So,
but how does that interact with... I mean, I'm assuming we're not going to, as we said, we're not going to see pressure in feudal from the Malay player.
I mean, so probably not, right?
I don't see a barracks being dropped yet, and he's just about to hit feudal, so that's highly unlikely. It's just a matter of then who's making it to castle first.
Well, Harald should hit castle age first, but Sundjata is going to have a Vil lead because he spends less time researching, right? And we'll have the eco upgrade, so the economy is going to be significantly stronger for Sundjata. I feel like an approach he might take in Sundjata's position is at a stable and play it like Arena, where you patrol the outer ring of the map with scouts. But if Harald drops a castle in his base and then shows up with a bunch of organ guns and mangonels, I mean, this base is wide open to pressure. Who cares about how strong your eco is if it just gets smashed by organ guns?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, like you said, he'll definitely get to castle first. At this point, 50% of the way to feudal. Lots of farms being dropped on the side of the Malay player.
Okay, never mind. I was trying to pay attention to the scouts here. Kind of hard to see yellow in this terrain. My apologies, viewers, but it is interesting how Harald has stuck to picking yellow every single game, and some aspects of this would, for the uninitiated, maybe scream the Viper. Yellow, Portuguese.
He loves Portuguese,
Yep. And lots of micro in game number 1, but I'm still not quite convinced. I think we have a bluff emote here on Twitch for the subs. I think this might be a lot of bluffing from Harald.
Yeah, I think so too. Just because I gotta be honest, I just don't like the overall draft from Harald. Okay. Like, if we're just taking a look at the draft holistically, I think we're seeing some of the difficulty of the civs and the maps that are drafted, where you end up with Japanese on Mudflow, and things like that. And I think that Viper is generally an exceptional drafter. Will give himself plenty of options, and he's also just willing to play, generally strong civs. And we don't see those kinds of things. Like, where's the Lithuanians? Where's Franks, Khmer? All of these things that we talked about. Mongols, Persians.
There's actually very few players in Hidden Cup 4 who really try and play mind games with drafts. Like, Doubt and Tato are known for preparing, I'd say, unique strategies, but not necessarily with wacky civs. The only one who's a little out there with civ picks has always been Vinchester. And so that's why I'm thinking about this. And I hope Harald realizes that you can't build a castle in the middle. That would be pretty embarrassing in a big tournament to try and build it there. But the villager did go forward for a second just to see, is the enemy... what's the enemy up to? And Harald had lost the scout earlier. I completely missed that. Okay, so that's why blue scout was a bit weak, and I don't know how you lose that there with blue still having so much HP. So he had to use the villager to scout then.
Yeah, he must have just mismicroed on a hill somewhere. The Vil did catch that the blacksmith and the market are going up. We'll assume that the rest of that gets walled up, and it is, with houses. Castle ages are going to be very close to similar, just by virtue of how much faster Malay will research this.
It's just Malay are so broken with this build, man. Look at the resources in the bank for Sundjata, and look at the Vil count, guys. Because you spend less time researching the next age, it's essentially a 6 Vil lead just by macroing.
He's got so much wood in the bank, too.
He could just drop 3 TCs. But what's funny about that is there's obviously going to be an eco lead, but while I'm not convinced with organ guns, I do feel like organ gun Mangonel could do a pretty good job at destroying that. So
it's going to be a safe castle to defend the bypass in the middle and make it easy, for those organ guns to go forward.
And I like the scouting from Sundjata. This might honestly be auto scout at this point. Let's see. Is this auto scout?
Oh, we did have the. That's looking pretty auto scouty right there.
That
was a random left turn. And what was the stats? It was something ridiculous. Like, the Viper uses auto scout on, a far higher percentage than anyone else. That said, I feel like bypass, particularly after you've killed the enemy scout and you cannot be scouting within your opponent's base. Yeah. This is one of the maps where most pros would say, all right, flip on auto scout so I don't have to think about it. He'll casually explore the rest of the map while I work on my eco at home, just as he's doing.
Yeah, we might have the stats hop up on screen. I'm not sure all the stats that are available to pop up for us. But shout out to Happy Leaves. If we could get some salutes in chat for Happy Leaves. He analyzed 1,000 recorded games from all 16 players, 1,000 combined anyways. And Viper auto-scouted, I think, 60% of the time, and second place was at 20%. So,
wow.
like, a massive difference. Viper, you'd think, like, you associate auto-scouting with low elo legends and things like that,
right.
but he would just save the scout, and then, you know, he's like, all right, I'm going to get that scouting in, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So.
Organ guns forward. 3 already out onto the map, putting pressure onto the market itself.
And the thing is, a defensive castle would do wonders at stopping this, but...
Double monastery.
The stone's forward, yeah, so he's got to go for something else here, and it looks like monk defense for Sundjata.
I'm good with that. Based on everything you've seen so far, you've got plenty of time. You know, these organ guns aren't going to eat through that market incredibly fast.
Whoa,
so you'll have a few monks out onto the map. What?
He's going fast in Vitoria, Harald. You've got to be kidding me. Look at his resources. Dash, this could be one of the biggest masterpieces we've ever seen in Hidden Cup.
But what does that really get you?
Well, okay, so when you go 1 TC play, it tends to suck in this situation because he's behind by 13 bills. But
yeah,
if you make Vitorias, while it is slow, it does boost your economy when you get to him. I mean, it's going to be way behind, don't get me wrong, but it is an interesting thought.
I mean, it'll give you access to trebs as well, right? So if you're just trying to push up the gut, working solely out of a singular castle, because he's not, you know, there's no siege workshop that's been dropped.
Yep.
You know, so if you're looking at just a force of organ guns to play the front line, and you can start to see, look at the defense, to a couple towers, trying to repair the market. Things are going to start to get a little messy here. So yeah, this Imperial Age might catch a Malay player off guard who's dropped 3 TCs and is investing so heavily in eco, thinking that he's safe.
And you can't...
Guard tower.
So, like, I'm just trying to think through the possibilities here. You can't really defend from trebuchets in Sundjata's position, can you? Because you'd have to get in close to the trebs. You don't have military. So if there's just 2 trebuchets with organ guns, and look, Yellow's prepping the houses. Prepping the houses because it takes 20 pop space away from you if you're going to make Vitorias. This is sick.
It's a fast imp push. These guard towers aren't going to stand a chance against those trebs when they come in. I'm really curious to see what Sundjata does as soon as he sees the Imperial Age come through.
Someone in chat had the perfect reaction and just said, if this works, ... Because Sundjata has double the eco and better eco upgrades. Vitorias have always been seen as something that's too weak to justify competitively. Maybe the big thing is you have to be able to force fight and be able to take out large chunks of enemy economy. Sundjata's had all the reason in the world to expand to the sides. There's nothing stopping him out there, but he hasn't done that. So I feel like there is a chance if you have to relocate all of your eco, the Vil count won't matter much.
All right, Imps in.
Oh my
Nothing being produced. There's the Fatoria.
3!
It's amazing how much space those cost. 3 Fatorias. Oh my goodness. Okay, first Treb coming out as well.
All right, so
looking over to Sundjata though. What's the response?
I think you start thinking about imping yourself into a defensive castle, but now you see some stone
far
walls.
Away.
Sundjata's like, all right, this is going to be a problem. Let's stonewall it up in the middle. Wow.
Okay. I mean, that's going to buy you plenty, a fair amount of time. Just continue to passively wall behind. I'm still waiting for that expansion outward, though, like you talked about. Where's, you know, let's select, you know, 15, 20 vills. Get them outside the walls.
Do you think you could justify, if you're Harald, sending 1 villager to either side and just stonewalling off those sides?
I would love that.
Like, it seems like a big stone investment, but seriously.
Well, now you've got the passive stone coming in, a 4th Fatoria coming down now. A barracks finally being dropped, so it looks like he's, you know, Harald's finally thinking about adding some other military to his force, but the first Treb doing work on that, the most forward of the TCs. the second layer of walls coming in from Sundjata. He is terrified of the pressure coming in, but with his eco lead, if he can keep it off, and he's approaching those Imperial Age resources.
Yeah, but he has to build another TC, surely. You don't want to imp in any of these TCs, do you? Oh god, he's picked the middle one. I guess he's Malay, so he's probably thinking he could keep it up.
It will be quick, and now he's starting to evacuate some vills. He's heading to the left-hand side with one group. He's grabbing stone with a small group on the right-hand side. He's got the monks out as well, dropping relics. A TC on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I'm going to switch the stats now, everyone, so you can see the value of the military. One relic already. You know, this is the problem with Fetoria's. He's pop-capped right now. It's just so slow.
He's dropping another one. 5 Fetorias.
And you have to remember, it's not like they're free. So you're investing so many resources in, and it takes so long to get it back. So it's an awkward one, but I will say I think Harald is going to go for Arbalest. And is on the way.
2 archery ranges.
I think Arbalest Bombard Cannon. Maybe if it was a little faster, it'd be nice. But Arbalest Bombard Cannon could be sick.
Okay, first of the guard towers goes down. Now moving on to target the second one. Still only 1 Treb. Understanding that Harald's been working with very few resources because he's putting up those Fetorias. Only 1 Treb is really slowed the pressure here.
Yeah, I don't like that. I would have loved to have seen 3. I'm really surprised we didn't see more. And now you have a castle in a perfect position for Sundjata, more towards the back. I think the big thing we already touched on, the fact that Sundjata started to relocate eco is very important here. If he holds in the middle, I suppose that in order for Sundjata to take out Harald's eco, we'd have to take out Fetoria's. But it's not like Yellow's ever going to have control of the sides in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, this is looking pretty scary for Harald now, just because he still hasn't broken through on those walls. Imp's already in. We've got chemistry on the way for the Malay player. Now, granted, he lost his blacksmith, so if he wants to find any blacksmith upgrades, he still needs to build another one.
Really? That's funny? Okay. You know, this is kind of funny, too. The Treb is chopping the trees. He's like, you can't wall me out.
That's a good point, actually. Look at that. He's going to chop through these trees right here.
I think, is there another tree behind that? I can't quite tell.
I can't. Yeah,
it's
yes,
still
there is. Yep, I just clicked on it. Okay, so he still needs to kill 1 more tree here to create a small pathway through, and Sundjata sees it. He's coming in, building another wall. With Arbalest and organ guns, though, Harald should be able to push that Vil back and still look to cut through. But it's just buying time. Now the monks.
Yeah, monks getting conversions on the organ guns there. Monks have block printing now, so they outrange everything that Harald has except for the Treb. And we're seeing how slow Feitoria buildups are. At a high level, it doesn't bring you in eco like actual villagers will. And this is with how many Feitorias? He's got 5. So that's 100 pop space in Feitorias. He only has 60 pop on the map. Now you even have bombard cannons for Sundjata. This is perfect defense.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous defense. I loved how safe he played with the walls. It wasn't just 1 layer when he first saw that pressure. It was multiple layers, having the monks out to deal with the organ guns specifically, even some of these arbalests, getting those conversions. While those 2 monks will go down, bombard cannon looking to trade. We finally have a pathway cut, though.
Yeah, we do.
So how much pressure can come in?
I can't tell if... Yeah, this does not seem like it's too good here for Harald. But you know what? The Fetoria's paid for it. So I don't know. I suppose in theory, if it continues like this for the next hour, even if Sundjata has the sides, Sundjata will be out of resources.
Harald does not have a single villager on food.
But he has so much food, so whatever.
Yeah, that is the Feitoria is doing work. He's got 2 stables going up as well on the left-hand side, so finally thinking about transitioning to the outer rings with pressure.
Will he see that castle? If he sees that castle, he could deny it? Look at that. Those buildings from Sundjata.
He'll see it.
I think Harald is using the select all archery range hotkey, so that archery range is sending units forward right now. And he just lost his Treb.
Oh, well, the monk just alerted him by trying to convert that villager. He does convert the villager. The first arbalist comes out, but just 1 arbalist I don't believe is going to push all 7 of these villagers away, but he's bringing 4 villagers forward.
And the scouts, okay. I mean...
Okay, this castle's not going up.
Plus monks are dying to arbs on the other side. This is really expensive for Sundjata.
He's bringing a lot of ills forward now, looking to force it down.
It's an important castle to get up, and I think
He'll
it will
do
go
with
up.
different
Yeah.
details, it'll go up. Yep.
I think it should just get Treb down, though. The Harald should already be making a Trebuchet, and isn't,
That's
sadly.
good.
But I think that
Right, he
should
can
get
even
taken care of.
from over the wood line. You don't even have to put that Treb in a dangerous position to take that castle down. So definitely would imagine he should be moving a Treb over there soon.
Yeah, Sundjata thinking about the sides here. Sundjata showing that having eco and having the outer resources is important. And I'm just a little bit... It's so weird because there's so much pop on our screens, and yet only 30 of it is with military. Both players, and Sundjata in particular, need to get more pop out in the field.
A defensive castle now on the hill behind, but Sundjata's the first with the Treb out here on the left side. He doesn't see it just yet, but as soon as he pushes through these military buildings, and now with Arbalest to harass this wood line here, the few villagers that Harald does have are going to have to be relocated.
Sundjata seems to have this locked down, you know, like... Oh,
Scout
wow,
on the right-hand side catches the gold vills, plus sees the stable go up.
Yep, exactly. That goes up. The castle in the middle is a little bit ambitious. But I suppose maybe it's not. The monk's already on the way to convert that bombard cannon. Sundjata's got his own. Sundjata... Okay, microwing, not microwing, okay. But you see how, like, silly Vittoria games are, Dash? 170 pop is what it says for Harald. He doesn't have that. He's got 60.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. I mean, it was very much an all-in play. All of the pressure has been stalled out, and now you're starting to feel the lack of eco and options for the Portuguese player. He's got some bombard cannons out on the left-hand side, trying to deal with the castle, but 3 Trebs as well in response.
You know, you've got to be a little careful if you're Sundjata in the middle, because you just placed a castle, which is a clear target. So that's something you've got to focus on. It's starting to go down now as monks are being sent forward. Also, the castle on the left is being pushed too, but now we have capped ram, bombard cannon, and Trebs, and Sundjata feeling confident to try and push those.
Yeah, a few skirms just to deal with the Arbalest as well, but the bombard cannon's targeting the Trebs. It's making it difficult for Sundjata to find a way forward.
Yeah, seriously, and even there, look, Sundjata losing the monks, chasing the cannons. The cannons were microed back. Again, a trebuchet, Harald. Like, a treb would be so huge here.
Yeah, he did have one out, and it went down pretty much immediately, unfortunately.
Can Harald hold here, possibly?
Oh, don't tell me he got a bombard. Both bombard cannons missed that monk, and so the monk gets a conversion. That's brutal for Harald, who's doing his best to keep this left side alive. But I think intelligently, Sundjata is aware that he doesn't need to put on too much pressure, so he's waiting for enough Arbalists and skirmishers here. Now he has enough to really control this hill. The Trebs are going to come forward again and look to push it down. He's also guard tower on the wood line, because why not? We upgraded that earlier. He was able to push the bombards off in the middle, although they are returning now. Low health castle, so we might see pressure back towards the middle as the final option here for Harald.
6 Fetorias for Harald. And
well,
Harald,
5 didn't work, so clearly 6 was the issue.
Yeah, as another bombard cannon gets converted here. Yeah, Sundjata's got all the gold, all the resources he would ever need. 5 relics in the monastery at home, and it's just...
All Harald raids on the right-hand side now.
Is holding. Oh, and
along with
raids.
another trebuchet. So much damage. Just 2 light cap, dealing so much damage.
I have to say, I know Harald's going to go out of Hidden Cup with this. Might not be the best strategy, but certainly one of the most unique ones we'll see, so I'll respect him for that.
Very true. Very true.
It's one of those that, if it works, you just start freaking out. Like, if this was working right now, I think we all know who Twitch chat would be guessing. But because it's not working, they're not saying the name.
That's a... No, I got to be honest, I'm there as well, though. Because in my head, Viper would only do this if he was so confident that this was a winning strategy. But that might be giving him too much credit, you know, for just the quality of player that he is.
Sure.
You know?
It was a weird game. 40 military for Sundjata. It's just consistently been under 20 for Harald. And Harald is at 180 pop. He's going to lose a Feitoria there. These things do take a lot of shots.
Some knights out for Harald, and he will deal with that trebuchet on the right-hand side at least. But the push continues here on the left-hand side. One treb going down. Still another bombard cannon to deal with the last treb, and it does.
Yeah, I mean, trebs on both sides have gone down for Sundjata, but I feel like Sundjata has no worries when it comes to that. 2,000 gold banked up with no Feitorias. I'm starting to see some Karambit warriors now. I think, and we're seeing it now, one big push in the middle will end this game, and Sundjata's got bombard cannons in the treb. The castle will go down. Feitorias too, and it feels like it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, floodgates are going to open with that castle down. Any kind of unit can come streaming through. Now, all of these Feitorias here on the front-hand side are under threat from these two trebuchets and two bombard cannons. A couple of guard towers behind for good measure, because why not? Sundjata playing it ultra safe here.
Yeah, again, I always get Tato vibes when I see keeps. Is it Tato, or is it someone who realizes they've won this game and they want to fake people out and have us think that it could be Tato? I could see Sundjata being Tato, realistically. Yeah, but actually, no, I couldn't, because he sucked on islands, man. This isn't Tato.
Celts, you're right. He wouldn't go Celts.
This is a faker.
This is Yo. I'm confident. I'm pretty confident in a Yo prediction on Sundjata.
Okay. I don't know.
I think. Look, I'm as confident as you can be in round one, or day one. But I told myself in this event I'm going to predict fairly confidently, because if I'm going to be wrong, I may as well be wrong with conviction. But Harald calls the GG. He taps out as he's receiving pressure on every side. The all-in didn't work.
Yeah, and that. Okay, what's weird about that was that strategy practiced? Like, another thing that makes me think Vinchester, and we're getting real deep here, but if you think about who Vinchester tends to train with, he's training with players he's 100 or 200 elo stronger than. Like, he trained a lot with Dark, for example. Dark played well in the qualifier, but he's a level or two below Vinchester. Perhaps, if it is Vinchester, which is my conviction for Harald, and I think he played great, maybe it wasn't tested against the right people. Because, well, I wanted this to work so bad, and if you go back and listen to my tone, I wanted it to be a masterpiece. I just didn't really have faith in it, ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so here's my next question, and maybe this is getting too in the weeds. Was Malay specifically a pick that this is difficult to deal that kind of damage? I'm not saying that Malay was picked under believing that Portuguese, but was this just an unlucky matchup for this strategy?
I think that
given that the player can get to, can get to castle with so much eco to defend, and even didn't have a horrible Imperial Age time because of the quickness of the upgrade.
Yes, you're spot on. Like, Malay, if you look at their weapons on Arena, they're kind of garbage on paper, right? Compared to Celts with siege onagers and Lithuanians with relics and paladins. Like, they don't have a strong unit. It's just their eco and their uptimes. So in this instance, you're going all in. Malay is one of the best civilizations to get a lead and defend from that all in. Now, what's weird is I don't think that he necessarily picked Malay expecting Portuguese, because Portuguese could have been elsewhere. And I don't think that he was necessarily expecting that fast imp.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Harald had something like Celts and just boomed. I feel like Woad Raiders and Siege destroy Malay. So,
absolutely. Either Goths or Goths, right?
Goths, possibly, yeah.
Why would? Yeah, that's what I saw the Goths pick specifically for this map for exactly that reason. They have the option to go wide. This, to me, feels like a map where ability to raid from the sides, because you have 3 points of entry through the middle and from both sides. Goths feels like a really powerful pick here in a booming scenario. But yeah, throwing the curveball in Portuguese. So, again, to give credit, there's just, I guess, as high a chance that you catch your opponent off guard with the Portuguese pick. But in this case, it feels like an unlucky Civ matchup against Malay, and very well played by Sundjata. I loved, again, how much caution was put towards that initial push. Multiple layers of stone walls plus guard tower. Double monastery was the perfect defense against low numbers of military.
Sundjata